Okay, Mel, you're on stack. So
fancy.
Well, yeah, because I'm recording. So I just want to let everybody know I'm recording tonight to broadcast on my live internet show tomorrow night. So there's going to be a little bit of technical stuff going on, like we have to change the mic because I have to be able to record sound. And also, which is kind of really fun, as Sarah found out, when somebody's speaking, they're going to be on the Jumbotron. So without further ado, just clip that on.
Anywhere?
Like, yeah, like around your collar there.
Around the collar?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Melanie Finlayson. At Green Plum is my press, and this space started as Green Plum Press and Gallery, and now I have partners of Mark Boyd, Lisa Blackburn. Am I up there? Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Lisa Blackburn and John Hardum, who are all here tonight, and we're all very happy that you came out. The space is now a flex space. It's not just a gallery space, and we have a mission which I'm going to read to you because I have not memorized it yet. But Green Plum Collaboratory is a participating space which provides guest collaborators and curators an opportunity to stimulate action by starting contemporary conversations, communicating ideas, and provoking thought. So we welcome all of you to come, and we are going to have more events like this. As Mark already said, Sarah will be here next Wednesday. We will have an art opening at the end of the month at the 27th for Fire in the Mountain with resident artists that will be working out of this space. And a number of shows and different events happening, and we're accepting applications. If you want to host something, want to have an event, want to have a show, on our website you can see the proposals and all that other good stuff, which is greenplumcollaboratory.com. So yeah, I think I don't know the schedule. Yay, done. Okay.
Welcome to our opening night.
Yes, opening night. Yay! I can take this off now. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Okay, really quick, I just want to thank everybody for coming. I gotta get it. This is terrible. Okay, good enough. So tonight's our first night, and it's our opening event, which is really exciting. Thank you everybody for coming. The presentation tonight is on food security and hunger relief. We have some speakers that are going to come out and give us some information on that. I just wanted to point out, as I've been getting involved with this through other avenues, that everybody goes, wow, that's a kind of a heavy topic, and how big a deal is it really? Well, hunger relief and food security is actually a global issue. In the United States, the rule of thumb statistic we use is that 25% of the population is at risk of not knowing where their next meal is coming from. So that's 1 in 4. It's a huge deal, and when you start looking at statistics and doing the math, some of which is going to be shared with us, you'll see the scope and scale of it, and it's absolutely criminal for that to happen anywhere, but especially in a country as prosperous as ours. So that's what tonight's program is, and I kind of have a list, and we're going to mix around. There's going to be some videos, and I don't think we scheduled any time in for a Q&A, but we'll do that. If somebody has questions, we'll do some Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I want to introduce Terry Farless from Manna Food Bank, and she's going to give us a little bit of an overview on what the local and regional hunger relief, food security issues are. Put that on anywhere, like on your collar. That'd be great.
Is this okay? It's
good? Okay, great, thanks. And thank you all for being here. I always feel like when people come to hear about food insecurity, it's like if you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet and you're choosing to eat vegetables, so thank you for being here for doing that. And I'm assuming people mostly know about Manna Food Bank, but I want to give you just a little bit of background on that. Manna Food Bank is one of 200 food banks that are under the Feeding America system, and you've probably seen commercials about that or seen the billboard. But we cover every county in the United States, and there's 7 food banks in North Carolina under that Feeding America system. And Manna covers the 16 most western counties, and we work with about 230 partner agencies. Last year we distributed 11 million pounds of food through those partner agencies. And we always say that they're the last mile of it. So we can get the food out the door and get it on a truck, but it really is those agencies who are doing that. And some of those folks are here tonight. I don't know where Martha went. With Shepherd staff is here. Annette Charlton is also here. Tell me the name of the church one more time. West Burnsville Baptist. And folks who don't get food from Manna, but the Dig In Gardener. Are there any folks here from there? John, and who's also representing Higgins United Methodist Church as well. So there are a lot of folks in the community already working on this issue. But a lot of times I think what I say is that hunger is really a hidden epidemic in western North Carolina. Every 4 years, Manna participates in a regional hunger study that's carried out nationally, but we do our 16 counties, and we kind of get a snapshot of what that looks like for our 16 counties. So the last one that was done in the spring of 2009, which was a little more than a year into the recession, and we were alarmed then. The next one starts in about a week and a half. But from the last study, what it indicated was that 106,000 people were receiving food through one of Manna's partner agencies, which means that 1 in 6 people in western North Carolina, unduplicated numbers, were receiving food through one of the Manna partner agencies. And we have very strict guidelines about who can access that food. So what I say is next time you go to the mall or next time you're in a big event, maybe a sporting event, just start counting heads, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And you start to get the scope of what it looks like. And people really don't talk about it because there is a lot of shame still involved in it. So even in a pantry setting, when I sit down with folks and start talking to them, we don't normally talk about, my kid had lunch on Friday and then didn't eat again until Monday when they went to school. Or last night my teenage children and I split a can of chili. So, and I'm always worried about calories. So in a conversation like that, I'm like, how many? So it's probably 70 calories per person in the family, and that's food insecurity. And I think what's hard for me when I hear those numbers is not just somebody's belly's not full, but you think about for a minute all of the ways that we connect with people through food. I grew up in Georgia. We didn't hardly blow our nose without eating. I mean, it was, someone was born, we ate. Someone had a birthday, we ate. Someone died, we ate. Someone had a wedding. I mean, we were always eating. That was how we engaged with each other. So when food security is an issue, it isn't just that, there is physical deprivation. There's also community deprivation because you can't participate in a lot of ways. So I'm grateful for the conversation here. And I'm grateful for the ideas that are already starting to be generated. I'm grateful for the work that's already being done. Grateful for how we're figuring out in the community to do the things that we can to help solve this problem. The hunger statistic for children, the food insecurity rate for this region is that 1 in 3 experience food insecurity. And to be fair, that means that someone asked a household, was there a time in the last 12 months that you or your children were hungry and you didn't have money to buy food? But we're finding at Manna that for some people, when it might have been occasionally that happens, that's happening more and more. We have a Manna Packs program, which is food that goes home on the weekends to children and families who have been identified by counselors and teachers as being food insecure. So it's adults outside of the family unit who are saying, yeah, we're not sure there's enough to make it through the weekend. And we're sending out about 3,500 bags to 15 counties. And that means that 3,500 children, which blows me, in the United States of freaking America, 3,500 children in our region are not getting to, are struggling over the weekends. We're talking to lunchroom ladies who have stopped tithing to their churches, and now what they're doing is paying the lunch bill for the kids that they know aren't getting fed. So I'm hoping that tonight is a night of hope and of good ideas, and we're really inspired to get good work done. But I'm grateful for this conversation being open. I'm grateful for people who pulled us together tonight. So I think we'll have some more time to dialogue in a little bit. But thank you for being here.
The will to live life differently can start in some of the most unusual places. This is where I come from, Todmorden. It's a market town in the north of England, 15,000 people, between Leeds and Manchester, fairly normal market town. Used to look like this, and now it's more like this, with fruit and veg and herbs sprouting up all over the place. We call it propaganda gardening. Corner of our railway station car park, front of our health centre, people's front gardens, and even in front of the police station. We've got edible canal towpaths, and we've got sprouting cemeteries. The soil is extremely good. We've even invented a new form of tourism. It's called vegetable tourism. And believe it or not, people come from all over the world to poke around in our raised beds, even when there's not much growing. But it starts a conversation. And you know, we're not doing it because we're bored. We're doing it because we want to start a revolution. We try to answer this simple question: can you find a unifying language that cuts across age and income and culture that will help people themselves find a new way of living? See spaces around them differently, think about the resource they use differently, interact differently. Can we find that language? And then can we replicate those actions? And the answer would appear to be yes, and the language would appear to be food. So 3.5 years ago, a few of us sat around a kitchen table and we just invented the whole thing. We came up with a really simple game plan that we put to a public meeting. We did not consult, we did not write a report, enough of all that. And we said to that public meeting in Todmorden, look, let's imagine that our town is focused around 3 plates. A community plate, the way we live our everyday lives. A learning plate, what we teach our kids in school and what new skills we share amongst ourselves. And business, what we do with the pound in our pocket and which businesses we choose to support. Now, let's imagine those plates agitated with community actions around food. If we start one of those community plates spinning, that's really great. That really starts to empower people. But if we can then spin that community plate with the learning plate and then spin it with the business plate, we've got a real show there. We've got some action theatre. We're starting to build resilience ourselves. We're starting to reinvent community ourselves. And we've done it all without a flipping strategy document. And here's the thing as well. We've not asked anybody's permission to do this, we're just doing it. And we are certainly not waiting for that cheque to drop through the letterbox before we start. And most importantly of all, we are not daunted by the sophisticated arguments that say these small actions are meaningless in the face of tomorrow's problems, because I have seen the power of small actions and it is awesome. So, back to the public meeting. We put that proposition to the meeting, 2 seconds, and then the room exploded. I have never, ever experienced anything like that in my life. And it's been the same in every single room, in every town that we've ever told our story. People are ready and respond to the story of food. They want positive actions they can engage in, and in their bones, they know it's time to take personal responsibility and invest in more kindness to each other and to the environment. And since we had that meeting 3.5 years ago, it's been a heck of a roller coaster. We started with a seed swap, really simple stuff, and then we took an area of land, a strip on the side of our main road, which was a dog toilet basically, and we turned it into a really lovely herb garden. We took the corner of the car park in the station that you saw, and we made vegetable beds for everybody to share and pick from themselves. We went to the doctors. We've just had a £6 million health centre built in Todmorden, and for some reason that I cannot comprehend, it has been surrounded by prickly plants. So we went to the doctors, said, would you mind us taking them up? They said, absolutely fine, provided you get planning permission and you do it in Latin and you do it in triplicate. So we did. And now there are fruit trees and bushes and herbs and vegetables around that doctor's surgery. And there's been lots of other examples, like the corn that was in front of the police station and the old people's home that we've planted up with food that they can pick and grow. But it isn't just about growing, because we all are part of this jigsaw. It's about taking those artistic people in your community and doing some fabulous designs in those raised beds to explain to people what's growing there. Because there's so many people that don't really recognise a vegetable unless it's in a bit of plastic with a bit of an instruction packet on the top. So, we have some people who design these things. If it looks like this, please don't pick it, but if it looks like this, help yourself. This is about sharing and investing in kindness. And for those people that don't want to do either of those things, maybe they can cook. So we pick them seasonally, and then we go on the street, or in the pub, or in the church, or wherever people are living their lives. This is about us going to the people and saying, we are all part of the local food jigsaw, we are all part of a solution. And then because we know we've got vegetable tourists and we love them to bits and they're absolutely fantastic, we thought, what can we do to give them an even better experience? So we invented, without asking of course, the incredible edible green route. And this is a route of exhibition gardens and edible towpaths and bee-friendly sites and the story of pollinators. And it's a route that we designed that takes people through the whole of our town, past our cafes and our small shops, through our market, not just to and fro from the supermarket. And we're hoping that in changing people's footfall around our town, we're also changing their behaviour. And then there's the second plate, the learning plate. Well, we're in partnership with the high school. We've created a company. We are designing and building an aquaponics unit in some land that we spare at the back of the high school, like you do. And now we're going to be growing fish and vegetables in an orchard with bees. And the kids are helping us build that. And the kids are on the board. And because the community was really keen on working with the high school is now teaching agriculture. And because it's teaching agriculture, we started to think, how can we then get those kids that never had a qualification before in their lives but are really excited about growing, how can we give them some more experience? So we got some land that was donated by a local garden centre. It was really quite muddy, but in a truly incredible way, totally voluntary-led, we have turned that into a market garden training centre. And that is polytunnels and raised beds and all the things you need to get the soil under your fingers and think, maybe there's a job in this for me in the future. And because we were doing that, some local academics said, you know, we could help design a commercial horticulture course for you. There's not one that we know of. So they're doing that, and we're going to launch it later this year. And it's all an experiment, and it's all voluntary. And then there's the third plate. Because if you walk through an edible landscape, and if you're learning new skills, and if you start to get interested in what's growing seasonally, you might just want to spend more of your own money in support of local producers. Not just veg, but meat and cheese and beer and whatever else it might be. But then we're just a community group, you know, we're just all volunteers. What could we actually do? So we did some really simple things. We fundraised, we got some blackboards, we put Incredible Edible on the top, we gave it to every market trader that was selling locally, and they scribbled on what they were selling in any one week. Really popular, people congregated around it, sales were up. And then we had a chat with the farmers, and we said, we're really serious about this, but they didn't actually believe us. So we thought, OK, what should we do? I know, if we can create a campaign around one product and show them there is local loyalty to that product, maybe they'll change their mind and see we're serious. So we launched a campaign, because it just amuses me, called Every Egg Matters. And what we did was we put people on our egg map. It's a stylised map of Todmorden. Anybody that's selling their excess eggs at the garden gate, perfectly legally, to their neighbours, we stuck on there. We started with 4. And we've now got 64 on. And the result of that was that people were then going into shops asking for a local Todmorden egg. And the result of that was some farmers upped the amount of flocks they got of free-range birds, and then they went on to meat birds. And although these are really, really small steps, that increasing local economic confidence is starting to play out in a number of ways. And we now have farmers doing cheese, and they've upped their flocks of rare breed pigs. They're doing pasties and pies and things that they would have never have done before. We've got increasing market stalls selling local food, and in a survey that local students did for us, 49% of all food traders in that town said that their bottom line had increased because of what we were actually doing. And we're just volunteers, and it's only an experiment. Now, none of this is rocket science. It certainly is not clever, and it's not original. But it is joined up, and it is inclusive. This is not a movement for those people that are going to sort themselves out anyway. This is a movement for everyone. We have a motto, if you eat, you're in. Across age, across income, across culture. It's been really quite a roller coaster experience. But going back to that first question that we asked, is it replicable? Yeah. It most certainly is replicable. More than 30 towns in England now are spinning the incredible edible plates. whichever way they want to do it, they're, of their own volition, they're trying to make their own lives differently. And worldwide, we've got communities across America and Japan. It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, what can you say? America and Japan and New Zealand. People, after the earthquake in New Zealand, visited us in order to incorporate some of this public spiritedness around local growing into the heart of Christchurch. And none of this takes more money, and none of this demands a bureaucracy. But it does demand that you think things differently and you are prepared to bend budgets and work programmes in order to create that supportive framework that communities can bounce off. And there's some great ideas already in our patch. Our local authority has decided to make everywhere incredible edible, and in support of that have decided to do two things. First, they're going to create an asset register of spare land that they've got, put it in a food bank so that communities can use that wherever they live, and they're going to underpin that with a licence. And then they said to every single one of their workforce, if you can, help those communities grow and help them maintain their spaces. Suddenly, we're seeing actions on the ground from local government. We're seeing this mainstreamed. We are responding creatively at last to what Rio demanded of us. And there's lots more you could do. I mean, just to list a few. One, please stop putting prickly plants around public buildings. It's a waste of space. Secondly, please create edible landscapes so that our children start to walk past their food day in, day out, on our high streets, in our parks, wherever that might be. Inspire local planners to put the food sites at the heart of the town and the city plan, not relegate them to the edges of the settlements that nobody can see. Encourage all our schools to take this seriously. This isn't a second-class exercise. If we want to inspire the farmers of tomorrow, then please let us say to every school, create a sense of purpose around the importance of the environment, local food and soils. Put that at the heart of your school culture and you will create a different generation. There are so many things you can do, but ultimately this is about something really simple. Through an organic process, through an increasing recognition of the power of small actions, we are starting at last to believe in ourselves again. And to believe in our capacity, each and every one of us, to build a different and a kinder future. And in my book, that's incredible. Thank you.
Y'all come on up. I did shower. Y'all are safe. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what Extension's doing in a project called Tractor. Everybody knows what a tractor is. Well, we came up with Tractor to us means Toe River Aggregation Center Training Organization Regionally, Inc. We'll be giving out prizes, if you can say that, in a little bit. And we picked that name for a couple reasons. We were sitting at a meeting, and one of the folks in our work group kind of was playing around with things. And he said, oh, you've got a tractor if you wiggle this and this around. And why we like tractors, number one, what do you think of when you think of a tractor? Farm. Thank you. I'll tell you a web story later. So we sat there, and the other thing is we're working in a joint project. This is a Mitchell-Yancey project. And if you've been around here, folks get a little, that's the Yancey side, and this is Mitchell side, and sometimes we just, little words, so we kind of started blurring the lines. But this started about 2 years ago and even longer of an idea. And what Tractor is is an aggregation center. You say, what is an aggregation center? It's a food hub. You say, what is a food hub? What we are doing is in Yancey and Mitchell, we have lots of small farms. The USDA definition of a very small farm is 75 acres or less. Do you know what the definition of a very large farm in Mitchell and Yancey is? 75 acres or more. All right, so we don't have any big factory farms. We don't have any big industrial farms. But what we did is have a huge tradition of agriculture in this county. It used to be tobacco, people grew gardens, and we've lost that. Well, one of the things we got together talking with the farmers said, hey, we need to sell. We need to be able to get local food back to restaurants that want local food. And Knife and Fork, Nate's been really good to kind of support us, and good chef too. No, I appreciate it. But so what we're trying to do is all our small farmers, we started out last year with 34 farmers. This year, I was just counting today, and it's really funny when you count things, it gets wishly. We have between 53 to 59, part of me wants to just round that up to 60 farmers that represent, in our two counties, 300 acres of production, and potential, if we can grow the markets, 480 acres. And that's just scratching. USDA says we have about 714 farms. So what we're trying to do is let these independent business people farm their land that they love to farm. Some are full-time, some are part-time, some don't want to farm full-time. I don't want to farm full-time. My wife's in charge of the garden. I like to eat. I'm an eater, not a grower. But what we do is we let them kind of grow their products. And what has been really nice is Tractor's been able to hire a director, Robin Smith, that's out knocking on the doors. We delivered today to 10 different stores from just down the corner here at Ingalls all the way into Asheville. We've got something else we need to show you. We've got some hydroponic lettuce. It's awesome. Sorry, do a little sales pitch. I apologize. But what we're trying to do is make these farms self-sustainable. And it's been very exciting to watch the growth. Our county's supportive. We just found out we got another grant and have gotten close to $400,000 in grants to get infrastructure. And what that is cooler space. Yancey and Mitchell grow lots of different things. And that's really exciting, except lots of different things need a different temperature. So you have to have more refrigeration. You have to have wash and pack and sort lines. People want a potato that's one size. When you say, hey, this is this potato, there's what it is. So we're working to kind of hear what the markets need, how they want it. So we communicate with the growers. We get in there and help them pack and wash and sort and follow the food safety guidelines. We won't get into that. But it's very exciting. Last year we sold $7,000 at the tail end of the season to about over 20, 25 different markets. And when we were really nervous when we started this, we were worried about demand. Now we're hoping we can get that supply up. So if you want to grow, if you girls want to grow, we'll put you to work. That's our next thing. After we start growing the farm and getting it out, we need to grow young farmers because we're losing that. The average age of the farmer is 58. And I heard a great speaker said, you need a dentist twice a year if you're lucky. My daughter gets to go 3 times tomorrow. She's not lucky. A doctor once or twice a year. You need an undertaker maybe once in your life. But you need a farmer at least 3 times a day. And it's something I took for granted. I was a city boy. I could tell you the food comes from the store. You've got Piggly Wiggly, you've got Winn-Dixie, Harris Teeter. What do you mean? But it's really exciting to see what our local growers can do. And what's even better is it really does taste good. It's really good. It's fresh, it's local. So, and you see Tractor, we're coming out. One of the nice things we've just talked with Manna and Jen gave us little carts. When you go through and you're hitting markets, and they don't know, they're usable culls. When I say cull, it's not bad. It's just it's not that pretty potato that you see, or not the pretty tomato. So we'll have culls that we're working with the Reconciliation House, and need to talk with Billy at the Good Eats, that we can provide. The farmers can get a tax donation and not waste produce. We're hopefully going to get a grant where if we have culls that are just they're just mushy. Where we can compost them with a local business that's doing compost. So we're, knock on wood, hopefully we'll get that. But the other thing we're hoping is to build a website where if you wanted to buy food to donate to the Good Eat Soup Kitchen or to the local pantry, you can buy food. It's so close that it's no cost to us to drop it off. So if you wanted to buy a case of potatoes and donate to the local food, we want to make it easy so you're supporting the farmer. You're going to kind of help cut hunger. And the neat thing is you can do it from your computer. We'll take your money and go back. Tractor charges growers 20% to market their fee, and what we're hoping to do is hit a sustainable rate where we can pay for our light bill, pay for anything that goes wrong, pay for our director, keep the truck on the road, and give high-quality produce that growers, restaurants need, packed in a way they need. So I went a little longer than 2 or 3 minutes, but feel free to catch me later if you've got growers. We're signing up. It's very exciting. We've been overwhelmed with the support, and what tickles me is at some of the growers' meetings, we actually had a move. We went from 12 to 60 in the hour space of 3 hours. People said, we're going to need a bigger room. We're going to need a little more food. But what I saw a lot of young farmers in there, and that's very exciting. So, but thank you again for this, and I think one of the things that woke me up talking with the school nurse when I was still in Avery, one of the kids was talking to her, and she goes, well, I didn't have breakfast today. And she goes, oh, why not? He goes, it's not my turn. So it's here. And that kind of just woke me up. You can tell by me, I make my turns. But it is scary having kids, and to think as a parent that one of my children may not have to eat today, and I'm not very comfortable with that. One of the things with our growers, I will tell you, Yancey County has the lowest per capita income in the state. I will tell you the good news, Yancey County, Mitchell's pretty good too. Yancey County has the highest giving per capita in the state. I was looking at a map and you see it in a different little color and you're thinking, oh gosh, more bad news. So one of the things that we will be working with our growers as we get up and get the food system moving is to kind of focus back on Grower Row to Donate, so that food banks and soup kitchens get produce when they need it, not at 5 o'clock on a Friday with eggplants that nobody's quite sure what to do with. They're good, but again, people have forgotten what to do. So, but thank you for kind of gathering us together, and enjoy working with Manna, and they do good work. And Nate, thank you again. Supports local farmers. It's been wonderful, and it really means a lot to the growers, and they take a lot of pride knowing that their stuff's going locally. So I think we can kind of, there's a lot of food, so hopefully you'll see more about Tractor. Nate's been good. Ingles has been great. So save more. A lot of good stores and restaurants, and we'll be knocking on doors. So sorry for the plug, but you put me up here. Thank y'all.
Nate, did you want to say anything, or are you just here to absorb the environment? Because you're like one of the premier people plugged into local foods on the serving side. But don't get obligated. That's no problem.
I don't know.
So we can record you for popular.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I'm pretty loud. You probably don't need this, but I don't know. I think that personally, I experienced points in my life of food insecurity, and that's why I ended up in the food service industry. I went through a stage of being homeless and stubborn and far from my family and trying to be a musician, and I was terribly hungry for a period of time, and I started getting work in restaurants shortly after that, and I realized that this was something that nobody should really feel. And while there's really not enough room for everybody that's hungry out there to get a job in a restaurant, though if you know some hungry people that are able-bodied and of working age, you could point them in my direction, because you do get a shift meal and a beverage with every shift. It's so important that we embrace the need of this in the community, and also to really embrace and cultivate an environment that encourages people to be involved in the industry, not food service, but the starting end of it, and that's agriculture. And I love what I'm hearing about working with the people in agriculture and the food banks to kind of close the gaps in this chain and make sure that everybody can get what they need. Obviously, I'm working for a clientele that I hope can subsidize the upper end of this food chain and help me to keep the agricultural people working to grow this food, and hopefully those people also can work with the food banks. But I just basically came here tonight because I wanted to be a part of anything that's happening with the sustainability of locally grown food and the health of the general environment, of the soil, of the people, of the food that's coming out of it, everything. It's all completely tied together, and we have to make sure that this is a major priority for us in order to continue growing healthy people and healthy plants. So I don't know what else to say other than that. I'm always down there.
Sure. Sure. All right. One of the things that we talked about when we started thinking about holding such a meeting was to acknowledge and to share the remarkable things that are going on in the community. And we're often doing these things without knowing what other people are doing. And so one of the goals was to say the DSS is involved, the Partnership for Children, Mitchell Yancey Partnership for Children, MANA, Good Eats Soup Kitchen, on and on, the restaurants, everybody, Shepherd staff. And Trace didn't begin to scratch the surface of what Extension Service is doing. So there's so many things going on that we hope to share about them. And one of the really good things that's going on is indeed the Dig In Yancey Community Garden, which has had 3 growing seasons now. And you can start the slides, that's fine. And this is one of the first things. It's been this remarkable partnership from the get-go. Linda McFarling's in the front right there. She's the landowner. The back, far back, blue cap beard, that's Pat Battle. He's a master gardener. And the garden got this bed built because the dean of the, at the time, the Yancey campus of Mainland Community College said, why don't we teach our classes there? So Pat Battle came out and taught the garden classes and built the beds to get the garden started. Okay. And then what we want to do is model lots of different kinds of ways of growing food. We want to be a place where people can come and say, oh, I could do that in my yard, or I could do this in my yard. So we had the lasagna bed to start. We've got the raised beds now. Go ahead. Here's the raised beds further along. We've donated now 9,000 pounds of food in the first 3 years, and think of how many pieces of lettuce you have to raise to get 9,000 pounds. We need to go to all candy roaster, squash or something. And here's some of the plowed beds, and now a demonstration of vertical gardening. We use these hoops in the fall and overwinter some stuff so that in the spring it's ready to pop. And this one, we included this slide because in the background there is a bus. That's another part of the collaboration with Mitchell Yancey Partnership for Children, bringing kids out with the 4-H, the high school, several church groups. We had one of my favorites was a special ed class that came out from the high school, and the boys, they were trying to impress the girls, so they were all picking up the rocks to move the big rocks out of the way. They were so cute. And we had such fun with them that day. And here's another class from the college teaching about building a small greenhouse. And that might be not her best image. I'll wait until it's another one. So the greenhouse. And this is probably from Mountain Heritage High School. They got a grant for a new greenhouse. And part of the grant proposal said, we'll dedicate 25% of the space for starts for the dig-in garden. So they do a lot of starts. Here's the green team with the 4-H kids. And here's just a lot of stuff going on. The plowed beds, trying to get them straight, raised beds up there. Drying potatoes in the barn. The woman there is our resident painter. She's painting a culvert that we got for $5, big concrete culvert. That's a planter, and she did the painting on it. And I don't know who these are. Who's Green Team? Green Team. Okay, thank you. And raised beds. And our garden manager, who is here, Laura Seelbach, and she is the person who officially works 20 hours a week, paid for 20 hours a week, works probably a little more than that. A little more than that, yeah. And here's what she does. She teaches people. Anybody that shows up, they think they're volunteering, they're being educated. She tells them, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's what's going to happen when we do it. And here's some of the harvest. Several shots here of the harvest. And these, in the raised beds, everything stays clean because the lawnmower doesn't blow grass up in there. So we only spend a few hours cleaning this at the soup kitchen. There we are at the soup kitchen. There's Linda and Patty McIntosh. And this was a group of students who were in town volunteering someplace. And they learned about the soup kitchen. This is Higgins Memorial United Methodist Church in Burnsville. And they, every Monday night, feeding about 175 people. And this group of college kids just showed up and said, we're here to help. Here's our dedicated children's area, a 32 by 40 foot area with this fence that now surrounds it completely. And a local artist is going to build a pediment of some sort across the top of the entryway there. And kids with the manure and the straw. And this is, I think, the last slide. And this is the secretary of the Dig-In Board, Brownie Fawcett, who is out there. They have, what is the name of it? They're the...
Thursday regular.
Yeah, but it's the Matic Mavens. They all got these little tools as Matic. And so now they're the Matic Mavens who are out there every Thursday. So the reason for the garden is, and I should have told you about Linda McFarling at the start, is Linda was in the pasture talking to someone and they said, that'd make a good garden for the soup kitchen. And her response was instantly, let's do it. And that's how it began. And the belief was, we have all the land we need, we have all the agriculture expertise we need, we've got the Extension Service, we've got all these other agencies. There is no reason anybody in Yancey County should be hungry. And so what we want to do is create a model that will say, here, this is how you do it. This is how you end this. And so that's the Dig In Yancey Community Garden, www.diginyancey.org. We'll save weeds for you. Come out. Come out. Young backs. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So I think we'll hear from Terry again on an upcoming project that we're doing.
So there's a gathering monthly of Yancey County providers and Department of Social Services, and like Cooperative Extension, which is invaluable in the community, so is the Department of Social Services, because they really are the first line against hunger in all of our counties. So thank you, Annette. Thank you for the work you do. But what's come out of this, and what Mana's trying to do is have these partner meetings in each of our counties and really talk with people, because the solutions to ending problems in communities really are within the communities, and I believe that fundamentally. So what came out of this discussion was, why don't we get together, and it really was started talking about Yancey County initially, and just have a hunger, we started calling it a hunger summit, and Mark has now corrected us, it should be a hunger relief summit or a hunger justice summit, but hunger summit doesn't really get at it. And then we start talking about other communities that needed to be involved in this discussion. So at this point, it's looking like Madison, Yancey, Avery, Mitchell, and McDowell to come together at Mayland College, the Spruce Pine campus, on August the 6th, which is a Tuesday, and really start talking about not just what is the problem, because I think getting our head around the scope of it is an important piece of it, but really what are some of the best practices and the solutions. So we're trying to get the people all together who are already doing this work. So school-based pantries and DSSs and church-based pantries and community gardens and soup kitchens, and just talk about what are the best practices, what's working in your community. In McDowell County, they have a summer feeding program. They're serving 1,000 children over the summer, breakfast and lunch, They're doing that throughout the entire summer, and they're not using any government funds. They've just figured out how to do it. In Yancey County, they're doing a summer feeding program through the bookmobile. The other counties need to know what you're doing with Tractor. I think it's brilliant. And what are ways that are really working in the community with church-based pantries? How are soup kitchens finding their way sustainable? So anyhow, we're going to get everybody in the same room and then get them off in separate rooms so they can talk amongst themselves, and then bring in some of the best practices from hopefully the region and the country to just generate good ideas. The energy is there, the compassion is there, the mountains, our history is taking care of our neighbors. We can do this, we can figure this out. So save the date, August 6th, mailing campus, and we'll be getting out more information as we get it all developed. We're working on it. But again, thank you for being here, and thank you for caring about this, and thank you for making it possible in this community.
So I have one more little piece. I'm going to just throw that up because we don't need to see the jumping drawing. So I just wanted to introduce this project because it's coming up. A lot of it's going to take place here at Green Plum. It's also going to take place in several areas around the community. What we're doing is a group of us are sponsoring an artist in residence that's coming down from Detroit. It's being sponsored by Imagine Render. And Jessica's will come down on April 27th and stay here for 3 weeks. And the idea of Germination Corps originated from working with kids that she's done in community projects in the Northeast. And she plants these little, they make and plant these little plant backpacks. And then they take care of them. And we went up to Detroit and we met Jessica up there, and she's into all kinds of stuff with, you know, food security and community education. And she's done this project, and she's really involved in communication, like human communication, like how to bring people into conversations. And so we came back and we came up with this idea, let's do a residency. So she's coming down. We're going to set up here in the workspace. And she's going to be working in the fishbowl. We're going to fabricate some of these bags here. I think we're going to do an event at Track. We're finalizing a lot of this now, but it'll be like a community workshop where the community can come and help make some of these things. The two really big elements of this are that I can tell about the schools, right? Yeah. Okay. We'll talk a little bit about schools. We're going to do something with Gouge Elementary and also with one of the schools in Yancey, where we work with the kids. We're going to make the backpacks. They're going to take care of them. Ag Extension Services already helped and start the seedlings, so they're of transplantable size by the time the workshop starts. The event at Gouge is going to culminate with a parade and transplanting the plants into a community garden that's starting over there. The event in Yancey is going to culminate with the event over at the Dig In Yancey Gardens, a big community event, which will be a parade, music and butterflies and all that. And the point of it is to stimulate and encourage community involvement and also help raise awareness about hunger relief and the fact that we possess the skills to do something to help ourselves out. And if you notice during the videos and a lot of the conversation, a lot of it revolves around educating kids and bringing in new farmers. We have skills, we've just forgotten them, so we're going to start reintroducing them. So that's all happening April 27th to May 19th. There's going to be a show we'll install in mid-April in here of Jessica's work. We'll have an opening at some point, and it'll be a big thing. So we want all of you guys to participate. Come make a backpack, come plant some plants, come transplant, come to the garden. We'll hope for good weather. So thanks for that.